What's up? What's up? What is up? That's right. It's the third day of the third month of the 23rd year of this century. And we are back. We took a week off to reset, to replenish, to get re energized. And now we are in the building. We are in the building. Today's episode is coming to you. You know what we're going to do. It's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. We're going to bring you sports, business, entertainment. We're doing an afternoon segment instead of a morning segment for various reasons. The first reason, as you see, by way of the title, today's episode is called The Hot 16, our tribute to Stray. For those of you who don't know who Stray is, that is our man, Mario Strayhorn, who went to the University of Notre Dame, who played on the team, who was my classmate, class of 1999. All the classmates are getting together to remember his amazing life. Unfortunately, it was cut short last week. They are going to celebrate his life tomorrow in Cincinnati, Ohio, where he's from. We are going to celebrate his life as a class tonight, but how dare we not celebrate it here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk? We have taken a moment of silence. We've given pause to people who we don't know. So this giant of a human being who was the personality among our classmates, someone who came to the University of Notre Dame from Cincinnati, Ohio, we want to make sure we paid honor and tribute to him today. So we're going to do that in this show by way of title and by way of design. It's a Hot 16. If anybody knows Mario Strayhorn, if you know Stray, he was a rapper. And so that's why today's episode is Hot 16, our tribute to Stray. It's two of us in the building. My man, the Big Flow Show, the man, myth, the legend. We'll do the introductions when we come back. Do me a favor. Make sure that you like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody you know. Please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and the podcast. Make sure that you start tagging people now. We're about to get into it. It's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about Coach Bond's comments about two-parent households. We're going to talk about some of this NBA playoff run. We're going to talk about the NFL Combine, and we're going to do it rough, rugged, and raw. It's sports business entertainment. It is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk coming to you right now. So tag a friend, bring them on in. Y'all be with us, man, as we give our tribute to our fallen soldier from the class of 99, University of Notre Dame, from Cincinnati, Ohio, our man Mario Strayhorn. Rest in peace, Stray. With that, let's get started. Let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go. In the building, you know what it is, man. It's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy, B-Ron ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Monster South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Brazy, in the building with one of the two when it comes to the rest of the crew. Those who make all of this possible. We got from the Middle Coast, although I don't know, you're going to have to disclose your location. From the Middle Coast, the man, the myth, the legend, thou who shall be known and recognized and respected as the Big Flow Show is in the building.
I'm in witness protection. As you can see, the decor of this hotel room is nondescript. Doesn't give much idea where I'm at right now. But I'm on the road, always making time for my fellas, making time for the audience. Can't wait to get some of these topics. I couldn't miss two in a row. I know it was a bad day. It was hard. I couldn't get up early. I could get up early, but B couldn't match my earliness that I was looking to do.
Could do it.
But and I'm here, man. I can't miss 2 weeks in a row. I start to itch or something. I don't know what I got.
Hey, man, we appreciate your sacrifice and your commitment. Yeah, you're right. I am guilty as charged because that time difference got the better of me this time. But we in the building, man. You know, we have had fallen soldiers. I know you celebrated the life of one of your classmates in Notre Dame. And now,
more than one.
Unfortunately, my classmates, class of 99, we're celebrating the life of one of our classmates, one of our fallen soldiers, Mario Strayhorn. And Strayhorn was an amazing man, an amazing teammate, amazing friend, uh, amazing father, son. I go down the list of things that he accomplished in his life. But while celebrating the life of one of our fallen soldiers, one of our classmates, it reminds us just how fragile life is. It reminds us just how precious life is. It reminds us just how mortal we all are. And so we'll start the show by giving a brief but meaningful moment of silence to celebrate his life, to honor his accomplishments, to honor his memories, to support his family, to show our support beyond his family, the friends, the teammates, all the people that were impacted by his lives. Because while we do it for some of the most recognizable stories and the national stories that are in the sports business and entertainment spaces, a lot of times we're celebrating people that we don't know or recognize and showing reverence for people that we don't know, that moment of silence that we offer. This time it's even more meaningful, it's even more powerful, and it certainly hits close to home for me and a lot of others at Notre Dame. So with no further ado, let's take a meaningful, powerful, respectful moment of silence for the life that we knew as Mario Strayhorn. My classmates and I are going to get together and do a tribute tonight for Mario Strayhorn, but I figured we could just devote the entire show to him. So uh, I will reserve my stories for tonight for my classmates and for what will probably be some libations. I got my red cup ready already. Will be some laughter, probably some tears, probably some real reflection upon just how mortal we are and how precious life is. So at the right young age of 46, unfortunately, the this side of life, the earthly side of life, unfortunately gave way to some form of a heart attack. And so it reminds us as well to, and I know you and I talked about it, man, just how powerful that is. Someone that you hear the stories about and is our age, dies of a heart attack, and it reminds us to first of all make sure we get our health checkups. Second of all, it reminds each of us of just how fragile health issues are with some of the players in the life after football. So we start with that, and it's going to be the catalyst that revs up our engine. It's going to be the memories that revs up the fun and excitement in the show. But from a health standpoint, I know we've talked about it, man. So many people need to hear this message, man. Get a checkup. Go to the doctor. You'd rather have the bad news than succumb to the bad news, because there are preventative measures that could prevent any of our situations from becoming terminal in most situations. Um, I open the door for you. I don't know if you want to comment one way or another before we get started, but it hurts to know that someone that young, because 46 ain't old, to know that someone that young died of something that you would think is reserved for being older in age.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've had some dealings with that with your own classmates, your own teammates when it comes to Notre Dame. So
And myself, hey, listen, I just turned 50 a couple weeks ago. 50 is a humbling birthday. It's kind of weird. You try not to really get too caught up in age, but it's a humbling birthday because you start looking back and say, you think about what you thought of the age of 50 when you were a kid, when you were in college, when I got married. I kept saying, when you try to exaggerate in the future, say, man, when I make 50, this blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things you talk about, and 50 is one of those ages. But then it's also one of those healthy ages. Unfortunately, I had a couple classmates that didn't make it to 50, which is tough. Got a few cousins didn't make it to 50. When you start thinking about that, one of my teammates, Lee Beck, his mom didn't make it to 50, right? You start thinking about things like, wow, who didn't make it to 50? It starts to get there. Um, I'm a hypochondriac. I'll never pass the test up. If a doctor tells me to go get a test, I never don't do it. If he tells me to take a pill, I take it. If he tells me medicine, we'll do it. I provide feedback. I diagnose myself. I do a lot of different things because I'm not ready to go. There's so much to see. There's so many things left, and the thing that makes you that hurts you the most is what you leave behind. I know Mario had a son that was an adult really at this point. But, I look at my kids and I think of all the things that they have that I can't wait to see next week, next month, next year. I can't wait to see what grandkids are gonna be like. So you think of that, we gotta take care of ourselves. We've got other people now put their business in the street, but dealing with health issues. You know who they are, done for teammates, going through surgeries today, different things hitting people hard, changing their life changing stuff, right? So uh not to say Mario had signs, but maybe he didn't. Only if you do. If you're one of those people that has a problem that doesn't want to think about it and thinks it's going to go away, it's not going to go away. It's going to grab you one day, right? I tend to talk about my issues because I feel like one of you guys might be able to tell me, "Hey, Reg, now go take this, drink this tea, go see this doctor, go do what you got to go do."
Is
Because I'm
bald
trying
is
to be here.
bald is bald an issue? I'm just trying to figure out whether or not I should be talking to you or not about something.
It's not a condition. I guess it is in a medical book, but I was bald before bald was a thing. So if anything, I welcomed it. I brought it on. So, fuck you very much though for bringing that up. I appreciate that. But hey, that's what we gotta do. But anyway, Strahan was a good kid, man, good guy.
Yeah, he
When
was.
when I met him, we never played together. He's your class, but another one of the guys like yourself, I met and instantly, warmed up to the guy and liked him, and shout out to his family. I hope
Shout out to his
everybody.
family. I'll say this because we played in it was called the Weed Eater, the whatever. We played in what bowl was that? Shreveport, Louisiana. It
The Smoking
was
Tree Bowl,
it was the what?
the Smoker Bowl.
The Smoker Bowl. No, it was it was the Weed Eater. What bowl was that?
It might have
Yeah,
been the
what bowl was in
Shreveport
the
Bowl.
Shreveport? That's messed up. I can't remember. Pole
The
on Weed
Paul.
Eater Bowl. Well,
Yeah, see,
Independence Bowl. There you go. Thank you. My teammates got my back. The Independence Bowl. That's just how bad it was. But the highlight of the Independence Bowl,
are they free? Are they free in Shreveport?
I
Okay,
couldn't
that's
remember. I couldn't. I lost. That's why I stopped gambling because I gambled at that bowl at a casino boat, and so I remember it more for the losses financially. And although we lost the game, that financial hurt. But the Independence Bowl, Pole on Weed Eater Independence Bowl, and during the lead up to the game, during bowl season, they have team events. And we had this team event where you've got LSU, who we played, and we were playing LSU for the second time. Never a good idea. It's tough to beat a good team twice. They had Kevin Falk back there. It had
oh,
Rondell Mealy, and they had a chip on their shoulder because we beat them in the regular season in Death Valley, whatever you call it. They call it Death Valley. We beat them at LSU.
the swamp. No, swamp
So
is Florida.
they had all to gain, we had all to lose. But the days leading up to the bowl game, you got the two teams and the introduction ceremony, and they say anybody want to come up, we're gonna have a freestyle battle. And Mario Strayhorn, shout out to my man Stray. Non Ether was his stage name as an artist, as a rapper. He steps up to the podium and to the mic, and he rips off a Hot 16, which was very hot. Ended with some bar about we're gonna rip out your tiger claws, and the story shall be told over and over again to our kids, to our grandkids, and if we're lucky enough and blessed enough to our great grandkids, about how Mario Strayhorn, leading up to the Independence Bowl, freestyles and gives us the only victory we had that week because he won. Bars. I was in the background dancing. That's a whole different story. That's back in the days when I thought my two-step was elite. I showed everybody the hydraulics and the city boy. I had to put South Florida on the map. But we had fun, man. His bars were electric. Tonight, we're going to get together and we'll probably tell stories about that. His fist fight with one of our classmates in the library on the second floor doing study hall. There's so many different Mario stories. We share it, though, while in silence with one another. In sadness that so many players when they leave the game, have health issues. We share it knowing that of the memories, while they are limitless, they're officially done being accumulated. We share it knowing that his family is lost quite the soul, and there's a void in their family. So we share it with prayer for Mario and his family. But it has inspired us for this show. Hot 16, me and my man Big Flo Show used to do Hot 16. We would rip off 16 minutes of that fire. This is going to be beyond 6 minutes, but it's a Hot 16, a tribute to my dog, Stray. And what better way? Each one of these topics is going to have some sort of rap reference to it. What better way to start than what I would say is the best scene from any rap movie? I gotta say it's the best scene from any rap movie ever of all times. This particular scene happens to be from 8 Mile. And in 8 Mile, there's a particular line that is the catalyst for our first story. There's a particular strategy that is the catalyst for our first story. It's 8 Mile, baby. And if you need a reminder, go and make sure you plug in your headphones now. Make sure that you got your sound going through your ears, because we are going to bring to you one of the best scenes ever from any rap movie. Let's do it. You know what it is. It's 8 Mile, y'all. It is 8 Mile, and here we go.
Now everybody from the 313, put your motherfucking hands up and follow me. Everybody from the 313, put your motherfucking hands up. Look. Now while he stands tough, notice that this man did not have his hands up. This free world's got you gassed up. Now who's afraid of the big bad wolf? 1, 2, 3 into the 4. 1 pop, 2 pop, 3 pop, 4. 4 pop, 3 pop, 2 pop, 1. Your pop, he's pop, no pop, none. This guy ain't no motherfucking MC. I know everything he's got to say against me. I am white, I am a fucking bum. I do live in a trailer with my mom. My boy Future is an Uncle Tom. I do got a dumb friend named Cheddar Bob who shoots himself in his leg with his own gun. I did get jumped by all 6 of you chumps. And we did fuck my girl. I'm still standing here screaming fuck the free world. Don't never try to judge me, dude. You don't know what the fuck I've been through. But I know something about you. You went to Cranbrook. That's a private school. What's the matter, dog? You embarrassed? This guy's a gangster. His real name's Clarence. And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. This guy don't want to battle. He's shook. Cause ain't no such things as halfway crook. He's scared to death. He's scared to look at his fucking yearbook. Fuck Cranbrook. Fuck a beat. I go a cappella.
All right, man. So that's what it is, right? That is basically the line that has us at this point. Yes, it reminds me of Strayhorn. Yes, it reminds me of the Independence Bowl. He stepped up to the mic and ripped out some tiger paws. But it also, there's a particular line in there. He talks about Clarence. And not only does he call him by his government name, right? Because there was a straight bullet. He dissed his boy talking about he was Uncle Tom. Like, that was probably the funniest part of that.
That's terrible.
But he says Clarence not only went to Cranbrook, but Clarence comes from a nice home.
He got real good parents.
Has real good parents. Not just real good parents, but he's got not one, but 2 parents. Coach Prime's controversial recruiting comments have something very similar to Clarence. They made the distinction that at the quarterback position, Coach Prime says that he wants kids to be in his quarterback room, to lead his team, to run his offense, that come from two-parent households. He said when he's recruiting defensive linemen, he's going after the single moms and the
Free
single
lunch.
mother households. But when it comes to his quarterbacks, he wants Clarence from Cranbrook with two good parents. How dare we not talk about this, man? Because I am the proud father of an aspiring quarterback who, at least at this point, I ain't talking about tomorrow, I'm talking about today, Friday, March 3rd. My son is in a two-parent household. I'm hour by hour, brother. I'm a realist. This marriage thing is real. So I look at that and say, okay, he might recruit my kids. But imagine all the parents, all the quarterbacks from all the programs that are from households that aren't two-parent households. What is Coach Prime saying? Is he furthering a narrative and a stereotype that is counterproductive to our recruits and our community and our families? Or is he calling us out? Because as a dad, you got an option. You can either complain and bicker about Coach Prime's comments, and I'm putting it on the dads. It's a two-way street. It takes two to make a thing go right. A mom and a dad. But as a dad, I'm listening to that and saying, I'm going to step up. I'm going to be here. My Clarence, my version of him, if I can do anything about it, is going to have two parents. Even if I'm not in the household, I'm going to be there for my dad, for my son. I'm going to be a dad. There are people that say that Coach Prime's comments are a challenge to our community, especially the men in our community, to do better and be better dads. There are other people in our community, the Black community, that is, to say, this is the crab in the barrel, stereotypical BS that leads to the comments coming from the others, the outside communities, that are exactly what we need to be staying away from. I ask you, what say you?
I'm disappointed in him for saying this, to be honest with you. I mean, you have the stereotype that perpetuated of what a quarterback needs to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So far, it's been, a white guy from whatever upbringing or whatever is this, but we've said the Black quarterback can't be there. Now, he didn't get racial, and there's a lot of white people that don't have two parents, and a lot of people that could fall into that same thing. But at the end of the day, I just think it's like a lot of people come from a lot of different ways. Now, I will agree from a defensive lineman standpoint, you need at least a couple out there that have a rough upbringing, right? You need a few on the D line. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say I agree with them on that.
Hold on. You just said that you said he had a problem with what he said, but double down on what he said.
No. I'm gonna say you can't limit the quarterback position and say that you have to have two good parents and come from this, come from that. His name doesn't have to be Clarence. I'm not gonna say that. But the D line position, you need a couple. You don't have to have the whole D line. A couple of those D linemen need to come from the bottom. That's all I'm saying. A couple of them, man.
Flo,
because
the D line is confused. It sounds like you have an issue with his statement, but you are absolutely supporting his statement.
I'm just saying that you don't have to be from the top to be a quarterback. I think you can play any position, because what you're trying to make it seem like is the guys who do not have that upbringing, don't have the mental capacity. I mean, we're talking about their mental and their psyche and all that stuff. And I believe, I don't know anything about the Black quarterbacks that are come from the NFL, but I know Deshaun Watson. He got one of those houses that was given to him by what's the guy from the Bucks that went to Florida State? Work done. He got a work done house, so I know his household wasn't right. And he did pretty good at quarterback position so far. He got some issues, so maybe not the best example, but he's a guy doing there. I don't know Michael Vick is from. I don't know.
Michael Vick is from Bad News, or is it called, what do they call it? Newport News, Virginia.
Newport News.
Yep.
The way that Brett Favre acts, he seemed like he probably didn't have a good household. The way he's been acting, but I don't know. I think I don't want to limit there, but I will say you do need a couple dudes on defense that been through it, You know what I mean? Because to
Been
get up
through some
every day,
things.
been through a few things, man. Maybe they got two parents, but the lights got cut off. I don't know. Not the whole D line, not everybody, because but you need some chaos. Like I always think a good defense, college, you need a couple people that you're on game day, you're happy to see them. Like not a
Like
little
you didn't know he
somewhat.
was going to show up or not.
You're
Like
not sure. You didn't know if he was going to make it to Friday.
like he has the schedule, but
But
you wouldn't be shocked if
he
he
may have
didn't show
had
up.
prior engagements. He might still be out. I had a friend in high school. I won't say his name out here, but he was a D lineman, and he bounced to the club Friday nights, and he would make it to the game Saturday on limited sleep. And he would get after the quarterback. That's what you need, man. You need a couple of those guys on defense, but that's not to say that if you raise your child nice. I know a lot of people who have two-parent households that have D linemen too, but a couple of their teammates need to have a place to stay here and there. A place to stay.
Oh, you want them homeless? You didn't want.
I want them to be. You want them to be hungry, man. They wanted to been through it because times get tough, man. It's hard. Look, you can get it. You're going to be in the Hall of Fame if you get one sack a game. Your own career. One time you do what you're paid to do a game, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, right? Just once. Yeah. Just get home once.
Get home once per game. Which is game. Very tough. 17 games. Tough. That's 17 sacks.
17 sacks a season. You're going to Hall of Fame first ballot.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, all those failed attempts, and you keep trying to get that one. It takes a bit of hunger that not everybody has.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not
Look, I thought it was. Here's the challenge with that, because, and I don't think he was intentionally doing it, but he was divulging to the, I think it was on a podcast, but he was divulging to the person who he's speaking to his method of recruiting. Every coach has some nuanced way of deciding who they like. Some coaches, I know, Urban Meyer talked about, he's looking for multi-sport athletes. And while there are some parents, some coaches, some trainers, some athletes that subscribe to this new notion that you got to decide your sport by around 11 and 12 and go all in there, Urban Meyer said he prefers multi-sport athletes. Now, the single sport community didn't get up in arms. It's just, it is what it is. But something as volatile as the conversation around family structure, something as racially charged as two-parent and single-parent households, because it's not me making up the data, it's just the data that's out there. We know that disproportionately, when we look at these conversations, both there's more athletes that are from Black communities that he's probably recruiting, just the facts, the numbers of people on his roster that happen to be from minority communities. And we know that when we're talking about single parent versus two-parent households, a lot of times that's also a racially charged conversation. It just seems as though Coach Prime wouldn't be the one making that statement. And he didn't say they had to stay married. He just said two-parent households. If we're being honest, he and his wife divorced. So Shiloh and Shador Sanders on his team are from two-parent households that didn't stay married. Fair, but they're still from two-parent households. So I think we took it and ran with it, but just because there's so many racially charged assumptions into that statement, and I don't know if it was fair or not, but I thought that Coach Prime should have probably been a little more responsible when it comes to the conversation.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I'm giving him, if I'm setting the bar too high for him, because the equivalent of here's my preference. Urban Meyer saying he prefers multi-sport athletes versus here's my preference. I prefer a quarterback from a two-parent household. I don't know if I'm being a little more if I'm being stricter or setting a higher bar for Coach Prime, but on the heels of him leaving Jackson State, on the heels of him saying, when it came to his commitment and showing that we could do it on our own, for us, by us, if you will, FUBU of college coaching, but then going and taking this Power 5 conference offer when it was made available to him, and accepting a job at the bottom of the basement, 1-11, and haven't won anything since Eric Bieniemy was playing for Colorado. I think it just adds and it sort of exacerbates the comment coming from Coach Prime. Fair or not fair?
I think what you're saying is fair. It points back to the same narrative of you were foolish stuff when you were in the HBCU, and now all of a sudden your colors are coming out. I do think sometimes people don't realize that words matter, and I think that Coach Prime is like, in some ways, he's an off the cuff talker,
right?
And I think sometimes he does such a good job of it. Not every rap could be a freestyle. Sometimes you got to write that thing out, right? And I think
fair.
I think having the conversation that he had, a lot of people start thinking like that. But I think he doesn't understand that the message he sends is pretty strong and pretty damning. And I think the funny thing is, you just mentioned is, and I didn't even think about it, your son, had he been scrutinized by the same words that you just said, now granted you're in his life or whatever, but did he say 2-parent household? Or
I think the exact statement was 2-parent household, not married, not together. So that was me thinking a little beyond the layer.
Looking at that, from the
they co-parent. He's a great dad, so you can't.
I understand that. I understand that. But at the end of the day, very, very good chance if he's not primetime Sanders, they're going up to a school. I know a lot of people who great co-parent, but only one person is showing up at that school at the time because the mom and the dad don't have that kind of a relationship, right? So one school might be mom one day, dad another day. But under the scrutiny that he put forward, your marital status, the fact that you didn't stay with their mom, you're saying it's okay for that to be a factor. And your son is a quarterback, right? That's kind of tough. Like, so think about what you're saying, boss. Think about how many people you've played with that came from a single mom household. And, the reason why I don't like his words are, and I've had guys come back to me about this, Coach Prime does the dress code, right? And he's like, I can't do this, can't do that. People say, well, when Coach Prime does it, it's okay. But when Iowa does it, it's racist. Why is that? Right? They ask that question. So when an institution doesn't want to give a black quarterback a chance next time because of they don't think of whatever predetermined BS that they have about the person, and they say, man, Coach Prime will tell you, you come from a bad home.
These are the validation. We don't have to go mythical. We don't. I mean, we don't have to go hypothetical, rather, because it's happening.
Yeah.
The whole controversy that we will get into with the Baltimore Ravens is centered around their unwillingness to pay Lamar Jackson, who I know he talks about his mom being basically one of his representatives. And let me not misspeak because that's an assumption, just knowing people who know him. I don't think it's a traditional two-parent household.
I don't think so either.
The Ravens have seemed reluctant to give him the money that on the stat sheet he has proven that he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that, I think, comes from the same ilk of we can't pay him what the value says he's worth because there's this red flag that has nothing to do with him as a leader, nothing to do with him as a player, nothing to do with him in the locker room, nothing to do with him in the community, nothing to do with him having any criminal issues. It's got everything to do with this image that I would say Coach Prime supported with that statement. And that's the only challenge that I have with it, is that there have been so many generations of black quarterbacks. And he didn't say black. He didn't say anything about race. So let me be clear. He said 2-parent household. It was about the family structure. It wasn't about black and white. But I just think that there are so many inferences that recruiters, that GMs and player personnel people and owners of teams can make that are lightly but directly associated with that same sentiment.
Yeah, he just did, and again, right. He never said race, and there's plenty of parents out there, broken homes, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. There are broken homes, plenty of those. He did say things like, "Hey, I like to have preferably coached by their father at some point." That's pretty decent. I get where he's trying to. I can kind of see where he's going with. But what I'm saying is, you're in a position where someone is going to actually discriminate on some stuff that doesn't matter, and they're going to say, "Hey, man, you know what? I don't like Bobby's son as quarterback, but he could play D-line for me. He could play receiver for me.
Right.
I like you, but just not at that quarterback position. We're looking for something different." So Prime just said that he has his criteria. We can't tell the other coaches that their criteria has to match Prime's.
Right.
But you're just saying it's okay to have a criteria that has nothing to do with football. And that's the part of it that I think is tough. I kind of just when I talk about the D-line, Bryant Young is the best D-lineman I ever played with, and his parents, both in his life.
Right.
I could go on and on about great D-linemen that whatever. I just think one or two in the locker room would never hurt you. I'm going to stay on that one or two that has a rough upbringing just to keep it a little bit unsettled in the meeting. You never know which direction the meeting is going to go.
Right.
But all that stuff is, I'm not going to say, I don't want this D lineman because he comes from a great family. I don't want this person to come. But I'm just, who am I? I'm just a podcast host talking with my guy,
right.
On a Saturday. I'm not Prime. I'm not Coach Prime that has the actual power to recruit. And did he think about that next year when the number one quarterback in the nation is somebody who comes from a one-parent household, and he goes to recruit him, and his mom says, "You offended me. Hell no, my son not coming here." What's Prime going to think then? He's not going to not want the kid. So,
well, let's get into that because his comment, I think, is representative of Baltimore's unwillingness to pay Lamar. And it went further this week when Baltimore's GM, who I think is crazy for making the statement, DeCosta, I don't remember his name. I'm trying to look for his name. But he makes a statement basically saying that there was a question about the wide receivers in Baltimore. And he says, Eric DeCosta is the GM. And he says, it's a question about the overall quality of the wide receivers. And he said, if I could have solved that, we'd have better receivers. Rashad Bateman, who is a wide receiver, took issue with it and tweeted something. But it looked like, because remember, this is our tribute to Stray. It's all about sort of this idea of rap. It looked like one of those internal camps of rap beef. It was Lil Juvie or Turk with arguing with Baby. Right? It's on a public space for public consumption. You have a GM making a statement about the quality of the wide receivers in that locker room. You have a wide receiver who felt attacked, I would argue rightly so, who then fires back. Mm-hmm. This internal camp rap beef that the Baltimore Ravens are now guilty of seems to be sort of this byproduct of a reaction to their unwillingness to pay Lamar Jackson, their unwillingness to give him what he has rightly deserved. The man won an NFL MVP. There aren't 100 people that ever walked the face of the earth that have won an NFL MVP. Ever. He's in a class that is unique. He's in a class that normally provides protection. He's in a class that normally provides value that teams have to respond to. Don't believe me? Look at how every offseason we waiting on Aaron Rodgers to decide what the hell he gonna do. Normally, MVP status provides a level of protection. And here we are seeing this very public fight, an internal camp fight between the GM, Eric DeCosta, and the wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, who felt attacked. This trouble in paradise, I don't know if it comes to any type of logical conclusion that keeps Lamar Jackson there, but I think it is a sort of indicative of those type of comments that Coach Prime made. I don't know if you see any connection whatsoever before we move on. I'll give you last word. Is there any reconciliation Is there any possible reconciliation in Baltimore that sees Lamar Jackson stay there? And then here's this GM making the statement about the quality of their wide receivers. As someone that, is in that wide receiver room, would you have felt personally attacked? What say you?
Yeah, you hear that type of stuff during the game. I remember Coach Holtz famously said we could never get on Noah's Ark because we didn't have two of anything, right? So he dogged us, whatever. But when you say that around the draft, and you talk about millionaires, players, or whatever, I'm not surprised Bateman barked back. It's a different type of motivation when you're talking about NFL players. These are grown up. These are people who are more talented than you as the coach, right? They get paid more money than you, so they're more valuable to this show business than you are. And so I think it's tough, and I would take homage in that if somebody came and said we don't have any receivers, we don't have any D linemen, and I think I was a good D lineman, I think I would have a hard time with it. Do I think that they'll get over it? Yes. Do I think
they have no choice but to? But it just reeks as a level of privilege in that space to not appreciate the fact that your roster, your receivers, people in your building would feel attacked by that.
Yeah.
That because they went out there and they practiced hard. They went out there and they risked injury. They went out there and did what they needed to do. Was it as good as other receiver rooms in the NFL? No, I would agree there. But that's different than essentially calling them out by position. And Rashad Bateman feeling like as though he got called out essentially by name. You called me out by name by not saying my name. You still called me out by name. So I would have preferred him to address him directly versus Twitter, and he deleted the tweet. But once it goes into public space, it's there forever. And I think
it felt like you went public, I went public. So these are grown men, and times are different. The boss and employee relationship in the NFL line has blurred.
And it has blurred. I'm getting old. I'm showing my age.
Yeah,
but I think that's one rap beef that you got to keep internal. You can't put that on public spaces and public airwaves and think that everything's going to be okay. Rashad Bateman, I get it, right? It's like when you hear a bar that's been publicly put out in the space and it's an attack, right? You got 0 minus 2 hours to respond. But the challenge is there's a relationship there that's employer-employee. This is your GM. So I hope that cooler heads prevail, but I think it's indicative of what they see in Baltimore. Because Rashad Bateman went on to say, if you protect your players and are concerned about our health and, things that we think about that internal rap camp beef and people feel as though they weren't appreciated, I get it. Rashad Bateman, yeah, that's little juvie. That's juvenile. That's Turk. That's them feeling as though they weren't appreciated. I think the GM needs to be very mindful of how he sees his player, how he appreciates his player, and most importantly, how he conveys that value in public spaces. So hopefully they get over it, but there indeed is trouble in paradise. Let's get to the NFL Combine because there have been some staggering numbers. Some staggering numbers put up already in Indianapolis. We know every year they go to Indianapolis. NFL goes there for their assessment process. They bring in the head coaches. They bring in the personnel people. They bring in all of their medical staff. They bring in people to ask the questions and do the interviews. And on the other side of that, the 300 or whatever, how many ever, I know that there are more invites. Let's say roughly 300 people that are invited to Indianapolis to go there and perform, to go there and do their interviews, to go there and do the height and weight testing and all the things that they do at the combine on the collegiate side. NFL draft eligible players. They meet in Indianapolis and they have a showcase. There have been some social commentary pieces on how that looks. It looks like a slave trade. You get up there in your underwear, then they tell you to run, boy, run. But the truth of the matter is, it is the avenue towards opportunity for a lot of these players. So I think while there are some understandable correlations and comparisons between the two, the truth of the matter is these young men are on the cusp of making millions. These young men are on the cusp of living out a dream. So the end result is very different than slavery. I'll say that before I say this. It is the most highly coveted invitation that you can get as a NFL draft prospect to get invited to the combine. With the NIL money and the leverage changing from the institutions to the player side, we'll see. I think that we're in interesting territory where someone could use it as, I'm not going to come perform unless you pay me. I think we're in that territory now with all this NIL leverage, but hasn't happened yet. Having said that, we get to this year's NFL Combine, and you know what it is. The ball's in your court. I'll start you off. Has there been any performances that have been staggering such, that have been the model example of performance, that have been so earth-shattering, off the charts, jumping off the page, that when you think of that Hot 16, when they got up there on the stage, when they got the mic, that they did what they needed to do. They became legendary by how they performed. Who would you use as an example of a legendary performance?
This is a young gentleman. Just came out of Northwestern. He's of Nigerian descent. I mentioned the Nigerian descent because I'm going to try to say his name correctly. And I want y'all to prepare your ears, squint your ears. Adetomowa Adebaware. We call him Tommy, right?
Tommy.
But unlike Tommy from Martin, we know what kind of job this man's going to get. He stands 6'2", 282 pounds. The man ran a 4.49 yesterday.
At 6'2", 289?
282.
282. Them 7
fastest,
pounds ain't going to change my
fastest
response.
man
That's
pound for
impressive.
pound in combine history. Fastest man pound for pound in combine history. 282 pounds. He ran a 4.4. It was a 4.5. Everything was crazy. First, it came out 4.54, which led me to think this is unbelievable. And then the official time was 4.49.
Wow.
Laser. This wasn't somebody going 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. This dude was keep digital.
Best all time. So that's best all time
Fastest
performance,
all time.
pound for pound.
Pound for pound, fastest all time.
I can't argue that one. Great one. Pound for pound, best all time. But to see Nolan Smith, the D lineman from Georgia, he's who I'm going with in this Ball Hog Sports Talk moment. The ball's in my court, and I'm going with Nolan Smith from Georgia. 6'3", so an inch taller. 235 pounds, so considerably lighter, almost 50 pounds lighter. But the man at a defensive line position, probably play outside linebacker in the league, but he ran a 4.39. He jumped 41.5 in the vertical. He broad jumped 10.8. My question is, so I'm giving your guy, the Nigerian Nightmare, Mr. Tommy, I'm giving him Tupac status because best pound for pound performance ever in the.
We know
combine.
I'm a Biggie guy. We know I'm a Biggie guy. We know
you going Biggie. All right, so I'll give him Biggie. He's Biggie.
Yeah.
I'm going Nolan Smith in as Tupac. Because those two performances comparatively are going to rival one another. A 4.39 at a defensive lineman, in that room, you're not supposed to be running a sub 4.4. Sub 4.5 at 282 pounds is crazy too. And I guess it's just whatever tickles your fancy, whatever taste you like, East Coast or West Coast. Both performances are staggering. And those are the type of things when I think of why they are protecting the quarterback, that's why. At 282 pounds, this man's running a 4.49. At defensive line, the other guy, Nolan Smith, is running a 4.39. That's why you got to protect these quarterbacks. The laws of physics means that if you get hit by somebody running that fast, that big, that strong, that powerful, and that mean, you shall evaporate on sight. When you get hit by that, you're going to evaporate. That's why the NFL has to protect these quarterbacks. Lord have mercy. That is a Tupac/Biggie performance. Those two men in this NFL Combine, off the charts, man. Shout out to them. I hope both of them make a whole bunch of money. But it's showing just bigger, stronger, faster where the NFL is heading, man. It seems impossible that you would say a 282-pound, 6'2" defensive lineman that has dominated the defensive line position at Northwestern will go out and run a sub 4.5. And then in that same combine, you got a guy who at least fancies himself as a D lineman. Maybe he plays outside linebacker on the NFL level, but someone that has played defensive line at Georgia and did so in a dominating fashion runs a sub 4.4. The game is crazy, man. This game is getting I respectfully, I know we talk about the difference between the 80s, 90s, and this NBA, but I think the NFL differences are just as staggering. To see those sized men running that fast, crazy, man. Shout out to them. I'll give you last word on
my man Cam Mitchell just ran a 4.48. He's a corner coming out of Northwestern. You know how important it was for him to beat the D lineman? He had to get him. He had to at least get him by the one. But you know what? Cam did well today. I think Northwestern's going to show a lot of people something in this draft. And we're coming. Northwestern, we're coming. The Wildcats are coming. So I'm just letting you know.
Wildcats coming. Wildcats coming. I love it, man. So y'all weigh in, man. Do y'all think that this is the best performance ever, pound for pound? Remind us of other performances on the NFL Combine stage that stand out to you. It's always good to see these young men come to Indianapolis and live their dreams. All of the NFL executives are making decisions. They're there on hand watching them perform. Shout out to them, man. Put your best foot forward. There have been some other staggering stories at the NFL Combine. The young man from Georgia who unfortunately is caught up in a bunch of stuff, should I say. Jalen Carter, the defensive lineman who's expected at one point may be considered the first pick of the NFL draft, depending on who keeps if Chicago, it depends on who has the pick. Maybe it goes to a quarterback, maybe it goes to a defensive lineman, but Jalen Carter was mentioned in that vein. Jalen Carter had an arrest warrant on the first day of the combine, had to leave, went back and was arrested, and now back at the combine answering questions. We are all innocent until proven guilty, but his last name's Carter. It reminds me of another Carter, Sean Carter, and one of his criminal trial proceedings. This is how big this is. Charged in a deadly crash, had to turn himself in at the beginning of a combine. We've seen other people. The LSU offensive lineman comes to Lyle Collins comes to mind right away. The other lineman that someone put a post out of him smoking weed, which now it's legal. From where was he? I don't remember what school he's from. He's from the SEC too. Ole Miss, I think. I don't remember exactly where he's from. But that comes
the guy
to
with
mind.
The gas mask. Yeah,
the gas mask smoking guy. That video came out about 15 minutes before the doggone draft. Where does this rank on all-time amazing stories in the middle of the combine? He had an arrest warrant, and he's supposed to be a top 5 pick. These are the type of stories, when you connect them back to the Deion comment, it gives you pause. Because I think too many people are trying to play the role. And this is unfortunate, man. I hope it doesn't impact his draft status. But most importantly, it was a deadly car crash. Someone died. Coach Holtz used to always talk about it. What did he say? Wine, women, and wheels as some of the 3 impediments to your college career. Drinking too much, being gung-ho and shook and hooked over a particular young lady, make you do dumb things. And then the stuff that happens behind the wheels. This happens to be the 3rd of the 3 categories, but behind the wheel in a deadly car crash, he has to avail himself to an arrest warrant. This is just crazy, man. Crazy.
I think this is I take a lot of issue with this. I looked into the facts of what they have released, so I wasn't there, and there could be more facts to come out. But from what I think is, first of all, I don't really know what he got arrested for. The young lady driving the car. So, and the thing I hate about the headlines is I went back and forth with another ex-domer from your class, he made a video and he said, I just want to make an announcement. And he said, there's a guy, Carter, that was allegedly drag racing with one of his teammates, and a really nice young lady died from the athletic department. And that pissed me off, right? And we kind of went back and forth. We ended up talking on the phone yesterday. The reason why it pissed me off is he wasn't drag racing with his teammate. There's some 24-year-old young lady who worked for the university who was drunk driving the other car. He was driving behind them. And so what I said to him is they put that out there intentionally to try to pin this on him, right? Because the guy I'm talking about, I'm not going to name his name, but nothing negative. It's just kind of going back and forth on the topic is they knew that you would read the story and you would say what you said, that he was drag racing with another one of his teammates. If they told you that the driver of the other car was a 24-year-old blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl, would you ever think that he was drag racing? That doesn't even sound right, does it? Drag racing against a girl? Nobody thinks that.
No.
So they just said they got him for drag racing, and then they don't even talk about it. They had mentioned the girl was driving 2 months ago when this happened. They knew that he was driving behind 2 months ago when this happened. They knew that if they waited till now, because they knew that no one would care about the story and make more of it back then. Because why? Because the woman who was driving was a 24-year-old that worked for this university. It was a tragic accident. I didn't even know these last 2 months that she was drunk. I never thought that alcohol was involved. I heard that she had just off the road because it was never pushed to the surface, right?
Right.
It was never mentioned to everybody that she was drunk. They put it in some papers. Some of the articles covered that, but I had to dig and find out that she had twice the legal limit of alcohol in her system. But now you're trying to make it seem like somehow this dude coerced her into driving fast. From every indication, his car was behind her car, right? So it sounds like she was leading the way and he was keeping up. Now, he lied, changed the story, did whatever. Well, I say to you people who question him is, look what happens right now when the truth comes out. Do you think that they would have been better to him if he'd have said right away, I was driving behind her, we were both going really fast? Or do you think that they would have pinned this on him 2 months ago? So at the end of the day, he's being charged with misdemeanor racing and misdemeanor reckless driving, alleged reckless driving, because there was no witnesses to say anything. They said there was some proof in the street that they were switching lanes, which again, they paint the picture that they're switching lanes as if there's traffic. It happened at 2 a.m. Chances are nobody else is on the street. Right. And they're going down the street. The young lady didn't navigate the turn. There was even a third car that was driving. That person hasn't been charged. That person's name hasn't been mentioned. Why not? Because that person is not about to go on the NFL draft. So, unfortunately, the young lady made a mistake. She had too much to drink. The university let her drink. The university gave her keys to her car, allowed her to drive off of players. The university is going to get sued for a lot of money, and they have a lot of shame. But if I was a recruit right now, if I was recruiting from another school against Georgia, I'd be saying, look at what they're doing to their own. This guy's about to go on the first-round draft pick, and this is the type of stuff that they're letting happen. Right? And if you don't think the University of Georgia has something to do with this, you're crazy. The fact that the timing being released when they did and the indictments being released when they did, I think they're trying to cover their own butt and they're trying to cover it up. So it stinks to me. I don't like it. I don't like the young lady lost her life. Unfortunately, she made decisions that made her lose her life, and I don't think it has anything to do with Mr. Carter. I rest my case.
Which is I don't understand why they would do that, but you make a great point, and I hate that the stories are this way, but at the same time, we do understand who is the clickbait. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL. And I feel, look, it's a deadly car crash, but I also feel as though when you're in position to change not only your own life, but your family's life, and depending on how long he plays and how successful he is and how many subsequent contracts he gets beyond the rookie contract, maybe change the lives of people you will never meet. When done right, like Patrick Mahomes can change the life of, in terms of lineage, of people he will never meet. His money will be long enough to live beyond his own life. And so I just struggle with how you find yourself in certain situations. That's my only struggle with it, Flo. That's my only struggle with it. It's my only struggle. And I gotta be honest, like I'm not saying he's guilty. I feel as though like certain things like avoid it at all costs. Am I being unfair?
No, you're not being unfair. But I guess at the end of the day, he was driving fast in the car. I don't know what the kind of street it was. I'd like to see the kind of street it was. Was it a residential street? Was it a 2-lane highway? They say potentially speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour, which is pretty damn fast on a highway or whatever. He was not intoxicated from any. There's no accusation of him being intoxicated. The other person driving wasn't intoxicated. I do think, hey, they're coming from a celebration. They just won a championship. He's following. Who knows what the real story is? Maybe he was trying to get a girl to stop the damn car. Who knows what he's trying to do? I don't want to make him out to be a saint because I know nothing about this guy. I can barely remember his name. I'm just saying, yeah, maybe he has some bad decisions, but like, let's not. He's behind the wheel of a car. He's not drinking. Maybe he doesn't know the other person's drinking. There's so many things that we don't know. I don't want to put this in the line of everyone was so quick to want to say, oh man, this guy has so much to lose. Why is he such an idiot? People live their lives and they do certain things that are a little bit risky. If he's not drunk, he evidently didn't crash his car, right? He wasn't driving to the point where he couldn't control his vehicle.
Right.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that get speeding tickets that have a lot to lose as well, too. I don't know how fast he actually was going. We know how fast we suspect how fast the car was going that was crashing. I just don't want to put it. He wasn't in the car. He was in a different car, evidently maybe by himself. Maybe he didn't want to get in with them. Who knows? I don't know what it is. I don't want to just sit here and demonize this guy. And maybe he's going to turn out and embarrass me and turn out to be a jerk.
I hope not. I hope not.
I hope not.
But I'm not you're that close to your dream. I hope not. But
yeah, I'm not ready to go there yet and just sit there and say that this guy's, an idiot and a creep. And I'm not ready to do that. I'm ready to do that.
Fair. You are being more mindful and more patient with the story than I am. So kudos to you. But I again, in this episode of Hot 16, our tribute to Stray, when you hear about certain rappers being involved in certain things, you question, like, why would you even be involved? Right? You've gotten to a point where the lifestyle that you live has to be different than the one that you rap about. Fair? And we ask that all the time. How can certain people get involved with certain things? And I ask it here. And this is where the whole statement that Coach Prime made about who he likes to recruit. And one that we talk about too, like you got to have some. I say it to our AAU team. We just too nice. But I struggle in situations like this when some of the issues, let's call it, that we see a player might face, will it be family, some of the struggles that they have to overcome also breeds a certain level of invincibility when it comes to things related to the law. And it breeds a certain willingness to involve in risky behavior that I think is a detriment to this kid, whether or not it comes out that nothing happened. And to his credit, shout out to you, Mr. Carter. In this case, not Sean Carter, but Jalen Carter, this particular player. Shout out to him for coming back to Indianapolis. Shout out to him for stepping up to the podium and speaking up. Shout out to him for being, what I would say, responsible and mature about the discussion related to his own behavior and this particular incident. But I'll be damned if I ain't thinking like, nah, bro. Top 5 pick? Nah, man. You can't be involved in that.
Yeah.
And so that's my challenge with the initial Dion comment that we analyzed a bit. Same thing is true in Alabama. Alabama has a basketball player. And his name is Brandon Miller. While Jalen Carter in Georgia and this combine reminds me of Sean Carter, we're in the Carter family because there's another case, a prime case, with Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., also known as Lil Wayne. This Alabama case reminds me of that. Because while he didn't pull the trigger, Brandon Miller, it has now been confirmed that Brandon Miller, the standout star, top 5 lottery pick NBA prospect, is also the man that provided the gun for a murder on Alabama's campus. It was the murder about the Alabama player that I guess he tried to hit on a girl and was rejected and then ended up killing her. Like, how do you get involved with that? And that's my struggle with the whole, yeah, I'm recruiting guys that, that face some struggles. Because I think, I hope, I pray as a dad, there's going to be some things I'm going to just tell my son, bro, you just can't do it. And so the notion that single parent household kids from a recruiting standpoint are more attractive for certain scenarios, whether it be your shooting guard or your defensive lineman, I struggle with that and the implications of it when I hear stories like this. Top 5 pick in the NBA, top 5 pick in the NFL, yes, but you're under a rookie contract. They ain't guaranteed contracts. The injuries that play out in the NFL, there's still a lot to be determined in terms of your overall wealth capacity as the top 5 pick in the NFL. A top 5 pick in the NBA, you good forever. Life is set.
Set. How
do you then honor the request of a teammate and give him a gun? Now, the proximity, him being a teammate, I'm sure there's mitigating circumstances that have protected him, and the head coach has said as much, that have protected him from culpability on a criminal level. But just a common sense level, it's not making sense. It ain't adding up to me.
There's 3 things, I don't care how good of friends we are, that you should never ask me to borrow. My toothbrush, my wife, or my gun. Okay?
Fair.
I mean, there might be something being added to the list, and I'm sure people will think about this either, but those are 3 things that come to my mind right away. Your breath just going to have to be stinky. You're going to have to be lonely, and you're going to have to kill him some other way. Okay? I'm not going to give you my gun. Unless we are out shooting and hunting, and it's a short-term type situation, right. Not giving you my personal protection handgun. I don't really understand why that comes into play. Now, I'm not going to vilify Mr. Carter for driving fast because
Mr. Miller, in this case, we're calling him. Dwayne Carter. Mr. I'm calling him Lil Wayne, but he's Mr. Miller.
No, but I'm saying I'm not going to vilify Mr. Carter for driving fast because I had to drive fast to get to this.
Got it. You're referring
unspecified
back to
location. People drive fast, right?
Yep.
But giving somebody your pistol for what? What for what, man? For what? What do you need my pistol for? If someone comes, you say, "Bobby, I need your gun." What that guy needs is a conversation, right?
Right.
Because that means premeditation, and you had the means to stop it. You're going to jail, son. You're going to jail, and that's terrible. I hate to see it. So I have less sympathy for that.
Yeah, you going down today, boy. That's what they say. You're going down to the ground, to the ground. You're going down today, boy. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me. And again, the coach has defended him. He said that from a legal standpoint, he hasn't done anything wrong. He still allowed him to play, and he's put up big performances. But in the context of Deion's statements, when it comes to who he likes to recruit, and making it synonymous coming from a single parent household. I think he said single mom. I think it was specific gender related, such the dad is out the household. And then seeing some of the troubles that these prospects that are on the cusp of making generational wealth type money. And the money is one thing. It is the culmination of a journey. All the hard work, all the sacrifice, all the workouts, all of the commitment that you have put in. You are a mere several months away from tasting the fruits of your labor. and you're involved in these things, it's tough for me to say that those are two very different topics. That's why I say we got to be, and you said it as well, we got to be mindful of our words. They're important, but also the suggestions that a certain type of recruit, a certain type of player that has faced a certain level of trial and tribulation that they had to overcome, that puts them in position such that they make them a recruitable player for Coach Prime, also comes with some baggage. And that's and I'm not saying either one. I don't know their family situations. What I'm saying is that you can easily understand the connection between these two, and that's why I have an issue with Deion's statements. I hope that Mr. Miller is indeed completely free of any guilt whatsoever. I hope he is not culpable. But he is guilty of being stupid. Fair?
Unless the guy stole the gun. And then it's still stupid because you should have had it locked up.
If he stole the gun, I'll be the first to say I was wrong. But it doesn't seem like that. It seems as though there has been confirmation by the prosecutor that indeed Mr. Miller gave his gun to the person that committed a crime, took a life with said gun. And I struggle with that, man. I struggle with it. Let's get out of here, man. I'm trying to. I see that it's saying that people cannot comment, so I'm telling IT that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're saying that there's no problem. If you can comment now. Please like. Well, it's a good time to encourage everyone to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a forward, tag anyone that you know. I have gotten a few messages that you cannot comment, but try now if you will. Maybe the glitch has been overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully,
Bobby paid off his Facebook bill.
I'm still in the rears. I'm in arrears. My Facebook page is from a single family home. It is not.
Your kids go to private school,
but Cranbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm seeing all the challenges. I don't know why, man. I'm sorry. Sometimes it happens that way.
It happens, man. That's why we
that's
go
how you know it's live, baby.
Before the internet breaks.
Before the internet breaks. Let's go on with this, man, because you've got a few NBA playoff stories that I want to get to before we talk about XFL. And the playoff stories are this. We talked about Miller and his potential NBA draft, lottery draft status. But there's some guys that are already in the NBA. One being Russell Westbrook. You saw this week, last night, the LA Clippers are now 0-4 since the transaction in which they acquired Russell Westbrook. Last night, we saw that there were times that the Golden State Warriors, specifically Draymond Green, slacked off so much from Russell Westbrook that it seemed disrespectful. That, like, Draymond Green is in the paint while Russell Westbrook is at the top of the key. They are essentially not guarding him at this point. Does this say that we've seen the end of Russell Westbrook? Him, the Clippers being 0-4, whatever. But they're not even guarding him. What say you?
So, okay, I saw this. I saw that on a clip. And they said that they didn't guard Russell Westbrook and it paid off. It wasn't that they didn't guard him. They said he didn't even shoot it. When he was out there, he's like my man over here for the Nets. What's my man for the Clippers to the Nets? The Australian creation.
From the Clippers to the Nets?
Sorry, from the Celtics to the Nets. The Sixers to the Nets.
Oh, you're talking about Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. He's Ben Simmons now. He's sitting there at 3-point line, and the guy is down at the dotted, and he doesn't even drive, nothing. He's looking to get rid of the ball. You got to get him out of there, man. You got to get him out of there. He's a shell. He's a detriment to himself. He needs to retire now so he can still make the Hall of Fame. He needs to go. He's past his prime. Something's wrong. He's shook daddy, man. They call him Westbrook. He's so – the problem with that is he's going to make other hecklers – he's empowered the hecklers around the world because they're realizing if you try hard enough, it works. Westbrook he had a three back in the day. He didn't get all those triple doubles with nothing but layups.
Right.
This man won't took a wide open three. He's looking to pass. It's bad. I felt bad for him, man. He might just
Yeah, I feel bad for
pull
him
a
too,
hamstring,
man.
man.
But I'm not certain that all of it is on his shoulders. And I know Charles Barkley came out and talked about load management. And essentially, and not only Charles Barkley, but other people have come from this perspective that, you know, a family, let's even say a family that has a single mother, scrounges up enough money to buy a ticket to go to a game. And because of load management, they don't get to see air quote superstars. And people talk about having an issue with that. But the load management thinks that the chemistry means that the chemistry of the Clippers is always off. Other people subscribe to load management. The Clippers have made it very clear that they're preparing themselves for not only the playoffs, but for preparing themselves to make a late playoff run and ideally a championship run. This idea of load management, right? It's like load management to me is we waited and waited and waited for that Detox album, Dr. Dre. We waited. We waited and waited for Carter 5. You could think of all of the rap albums that we waited on, and load management is essentially that. Man, spit these bars out. Come get these minutes. Come play so we can watch. Have we gone too far? Have we slipped into the abyss when it comes to load management?
The problem is this. Back in the day, when Kobe was playing, the Lakers would falter during the season, and then they'd make the playoffs and win the chip, or they'd get far and do whatever. And I started realizing, man, these people are just trying to make the playoffs. They're trying to get there however they can get there, and they finish off and do whatever. And you got guys like LeBron James, who's in his 20th season, So you look at load management and say, all right, listen, I make 20, 30, $40 million a year. Do I want to give you your $40 million worth, or do I want to give you about $29 million worth and get you again for one more season? This is a business. At the end of the day, it's a business for the players. It's a business for the teams. They're allowing load management because you know what? As mad as you are, you'll buy the ticket. It's just like the Mike Tyson fights back in the day. Remember when you might have been too young. Mike Tyson was fighting, but back in the day,
I ain't that young.
When Mike Tyson fought, the last probably 5 or 6 fights, we knew damn well that Mike Tyson's fight was going to be terrible. But you know what? We bought the pay-per-view just in case he might have gave you some old Mike, right? So these guys are buying the tickets, hoping to see, Anthony. I don't know if you're going to the game hoping to see Anthony Davis. That's on you, right? But if you hope to see Anthony Davis and you're hoping to see LeBron and you're hoping to see all these people, and if they are on load management, you're mad, but you're gonna try to go to the tickets again. But
so you said if Anthony Davis is who you want to see, you got a bridge to sell them in Brooklyn. Basically.
There's something wrong.
They fall for anything.
He's out again. He's out again. Somebody dunked on him and he hurt his ankle. He's out again. Or is that a joke?
LeBron is out too with a foot injury. All that momentum that the Lakers had is sort of been squandered with the injuries. And I guess from that perspective, you understand load management because, you got to balance this.
How much less can Anthony Davis play, though? How much less? Is he tired? He's only played 32 games this year.
And there's different forms of load management. Kyrie had load management last year about refusing to be vaccinated, right? There's different forms of load management, but it's interesting. I think what's happening with the comments, just pause for the calls for a second. I think what's happening with the comments, and I could be wrong, is that we went to 8 Mile and maybe it didn't have the proper designations. And so they have now squandered our ability to comment. It came from YouTube. So Facebook police, y'all doing too much if that's the case.
But you know what, though? That was a great flow, and I loved hearing this.
That's a great flow.
Y'all.
Worth it. I might go back
to it. Send me or Bobby
a
text message if you got something to say.
Yeah, if you got something to say, I'll make sure that I read it. Let's go out with this, man, because I do see the change, right? Kyrie went over to Dallas. And so this seismic shift, it's like when Snoop Dogg went to No Limit. And this Hot 16 episode, we see that this transfer moving from one camp to the next. He went from Brooklyn over to Dallas. He went from death row over to no limit. And in doing so, I think he boasted his chance for a championship. In doing so, because it looks like he and Luka, from an offensive weaponry standpoint, are unstoppable. They both had over 40 last night. Look good.
What's their record with him though?
I think they are 3-1 with him. Don't quote me on that. It's a winning record. I'm pretty certain.
I'm gonna ask the Google.
Yeah, tell the Google man to let us know. But they look good last night. Do you believe is Dallas and Phoenix, because you had another transfer? Yeah, we went from death row to no limit. KD going from Brooklyn to Phoenix. He got his debut in a Phoenix uniform and went 10 for 15. Yeah, like 26 points, something or another. Looked like KD right back at home. Do either one of these transfers present to you your favorite to come out of the West and to win an NBA championship?
Just to be sure, out there, the Mavericks are 3-2 since Kyrie's been there. So I think I might have caught them. They were at least 2-2, if not 1-2, when I checked last, because they won last night. But there's a lot of promise there. You said KD played already?
KD played already. He went 10 for 15. The real story there was Devin Booker was facing one-on-ones. And while people were throwing double teams at him, you can't do it anymore. So I think Devin Booker had like 37 points in the same game. Devin Booker looked unstoppable. KD looked unstoppable. I think the center forward, I always mess up his name, Gayton, how you say his last name, had like 18 rebounds. So it was a good look for them.
I don't like KD, so I don't want to see them win, even though I probably could get over it, because I wouldn't mind seeing CP get a little championship before he goes. He's been trying for so long. But I don't like KD, and I agree with Charles Barkley, where he says, he needs to go get him a championship. Was that Barkley that said that? Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, he said get your championship on your own. On your own.
He called him a bus driver and all this stuff, which KD was like, I don't need your approval, in order to win a championship.
It doesn't matter. KD, if you put a comment on KD right now, we want to get some likes on our show. Comment on KD on social media. He will be right back at you. He'll come get you. So whatever. But I still say Lakers in 6.
I definitely have a bridge to sell you. So
Lakers in 6.
Some unforeseen reason, the Lakers don't win in 6. Who's your second favorite horse out of the West?
I kind of feel like Dallas has got a good chance, because Luka was so close, and Kyrie brings that edge. As long as they'll blow, and they look like they're so committed to making sure nothing goes wrong, right? Nobody's coming with the attitude. Nobody thinks that they should get the big piece of chicken. They're figuring out. I like them. I like that. Luka looks like he's got a little something to him, and he's the up and comer. I don't know. They look pretty good to me. I'm gonna go Dallas.
Yeah, let's see this right here. So I asked somebody to send me a doggone text, and Bobby Howard sends me something about my lips being ashy and my breath stinking. Who's your friend, teammate? I mean, literally just throwing direct jabs at me. Told me he can smell my breath through Facebook. That's aggressive.
I'm just glad he doesn't have my phone number every day.
My gosh, that's aggressive, man. These are my friends. With friends like these, who needs enemies? But whatever shortcoming we're having with the chats, we apologize. We'll figure it out for next time. But let's go home on this, man. This topic. Before we get out of here, Hot 16, our tribute to our guy Stray. All of it is about the rap battles. And this week in Sports Business Entertainment, we have UFC 285, which is going to be between, how do you say this guy's name? Gane and John Bones Jones. And for us, this is the heavyweight fight that we've all been waiting for. We know John Bones Jones has been out for 3 years. MMA is a unique sport. It is a money earning sport. Dana White making hand over fist when it comes to money. And it is because they have such unique fights. This fight is one for the ages. And we were going to have our resident expert, my man Chufu Jordan, shouting in the building. But I don't think he's able to do this hour. And the comments are down. So instead of having him on live, I'm going to read his comments because he is Mr. MMA. He goes to a lot of fights. He knows the history and the background. He knows the records and accomplishments. He knows the strengths and the weaknesses of all the fighters. So he is our resident expert. So I read my resident MMA, UFC expert the tale of the tape going into this fight. He says, and I quote, "This is perhaps the most high-level heavyweight matchup in MMA history. This is also for undeniable greatest of all time consideration. If John Bones Jones comes back after 3 years away and beats Cyril Gane, I think that's how you say his name, to claim the heavyweight title, there should be no more debate. Gane is perhaps the most technically skilled heavyweight striker in UFC history. He stays light on his feet, downloads information, and then picks opponents apart with his kickboxing. His skills are well-rounded with good clinch work and some crafty submissions. Jones says he has never felt more powerful. His array of tricky striking techniques are violent, employing explosive knee and elbow attack. However, it is in the grappling department that I see the biggest advantage for Jones. Like him or not, Jones is on UFC's Mount Rushmore of GOATs. I'll bet on him to claim the top spot in this conversation. It's hard to know what we are going to get from John Jones after 3 years in his first heavyweight fight, but he is the greatest and most well-rounded fighter of all time. I have never picked against him, and I am not going to start now. He can win this fight by any method if he is still anywhere near the same fighter. He has no real flaws, but he has been low volume on his feet in his last couple of fights, making them closer than they should be. After watching the Francis Ngannou dominate Cyril Gane with wrestling, I think Jones can make this an easy fight by doing the same thing. Jones is a superior wrestler to both Gane and Ngannou. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's our take. Written, then read here on the Ball Hog Sports Talk. How dare we not have an MMA segment of the show when we're talking about a Hot 16, our tribute to Stray, the heavyweight fight of all times, according to our resident expert. This is for the GOAT Talk. So it is the non-ether moment, or the ether moment for Nas. The battle between Jay-Z and Nas. It is going to be quite the battle. You heard his take. We are not suggesting that you gamble in that fashion. Do your own research before you bet. You heard that disclaimer?
Say, he gave me a 3-fight parlay, and it got me back to even when I was in Vegas, but I'm not.
Maybe he gave you some good info. But still, we got to put the disclaimer out there. A Hot 16, our tribute to Stray, man. Been a great show. I love all the rap references. This era of rap, the one that we were referring to, raised us. It made us who we are. It's why we do think that we can freestyle. It's why we do try to come with a hot one-liner in the middle of a fight, whether it be with our kids or with our wife or with our boss or with our coworker. We come with our one hot liner because we were raised in the era of rap battle. So shout out to our man Strayhorn, who was also raised in the era of rap battles. Shout out to him and the life and legacy he left to his family. Where our prayers are with you guys as they put him to rest tomorrow and eulogize him. He will be on the hearts and minds of so many of the teammates and friends and family members that celebrate his life. So we wanted to celebrate it here today. This has been a Hot 16, a tribute to our man, Mario Strayhorn. Rest in peace, soldier. We're going to miss you, man. See you on the other side, and I'm sure you'll be there rapping a few lines, telling a few jokes, and making everyone smile. This has been our show where sports, business, and entertainment collide. It's called the Ball Hog Sports Talk. We do it one way and one way only, rough, regular, and raw. From the Middle Coast. Might not be in the Middle Coast right now. It's your man, the myth, the legend, the one who shall be known and recognized internationally and galactically as the Big Flow Show. I am your boy, B Brown ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth South, aka Mr. Excessive Celebration, aka Bareezy. This has been the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Make sure you like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and the podcast. With that, we is out. Peace.